The house was quiet, save for the rhythmic hum of the baby monitor resting on the coffee table. I leaned back on the couch, scrolling through my phone, the soft glow of the screen illuminating the dimly lit living room. My sister had only been gone for an hour, but she had already texted me twice. "Everything okay?" she had asked earlier. "Yeah, she's asleep, stop worrying," I had replied with a chuckle. Now, another message popped up. "Check the baby monitor." I sighed, shaking my head. She was always paranoid, but I knew she wouldn't relax until I reassured her. With a lazy tap, I pulled up the feed. The crib came into view, my niece, small and peaceful, curled beneath a soft blanket. "What am I looking for?" I typed back. A few seconds passed. Then, "Zoom in, look in the corner." I hesitated. The nursery's night vision cast everything in eerie shades of gray, but I did as she asked, pinching the screen to magnify the image. That's when I saw it. A shape in the farthest corner of the room, unmoving, watching. A cold weight settled in my chest. I was alone in the house. My sister wasn't here. No one should be in that room. My phone vibrated again. It moved. The baby monitor feed remained frozen on my phone screen, the grainy night vision outlining something, someone, standing in the nursery's corner. I stared at it, unblinking, as if my mind refused to fully process what I was seeing. I forced myself to breathe. It had to be a glitch, a shadow, some weird distortion from the camera. But then my phone vibrated again. It moved. My pulse hammered against my ribs. My fingers hovered over the keyboard as I typed. "Are you messing with me?" A reply came instantly. "No, I saw it move, do something." I swallowed hard and glanced toward the staircase leading up to the nursery. The house felt eerily still, like it was holding its breath along with me. I didn't want to go up there. Every rational part of my brain screamed to stay put, call the police, or at least wait for my sister to come home. But another part, the one that refused to leave my niece alone with whatever that thing was, forced my body into motion. Gripping my phone in one hand, I reached for something, anything I could use as a weapon. The fireplace poker sat by the hearth, cold and heavy in my grasp. It would have to do. With each step up the stairs, the wood groaned beneath my weight, the sound amplified in the silence. I paused at the top, straining to hear any movement from the nursery. Nothing. The door stood slightly ajar, a thin sliver of darkness beyond it. My heartbeat thudded in my ears as I raised the poker and nudged the door open. The nursery was just as I had seen on the monitor. Soft glow from the nightlight, stuffed animals lying neatly on the shelf, my niece sound asleep in her crib. But the corner where I had seen the figure, empty. I exhaled shakily, stepping inside and sweeping the room with my gaze. The closet door was shut. The window was locked. There was no sign that anyone had been here. Was it really just a camera glitch? A trick of the light? I stepped closer to the crib, brushing a hand over my niece's tiny back. She was warm, breathing steadily, completely undisturbed. I let out a nervous laugh. My sister had me jumping at shadows. Releasing my grip on the poker, I pulled out my phone and snapped a quick picture of the empty nursery, sending it to her with the message. "Nothing here, just a glitch." A moment later, 3 little dots appeared, indicating she was typing. Then, a message. I saw it, I swear it was standing right there. I frowned. I was about to type a response when something on the baby monitor screen caught my eye. A movement. The air in my lungs vanished as I looked down at the phone. The camera was still pointed at the crib. My niece was still there. But behind her, right behind her crib bars, a shape was forming. Not in the corner this time. Not across the room. Right there. I turned, my body reacting before my mind could. Nothing. The space behind the crib was empty. The room was exactly as it had been. But my phone buzzed in my trembling hand. "It's behind you." My blood ran cold. I didn't want to turn around. The baby monitor still showed the figure behind the crib, but when I had looked, there was nothing there. That didn't make sense. My sister had texted me, "It's behind you." But that was impossible. Wasn't it? A breath hitched in my throat. My niece stirred slightly, shifting under her blanket, but she didn't wake. She had no idea of the silent terror creeping into this room, wrapping around me like a noose. Slowly, gripping the fireplace poker so tightly my knuckles ached, I turned my head just enough to see the monitor again. The figure was gone. I spun, heart hammering, scanning every inch of the nursery. Nothing. The closet. My eyes locked onto it. The door was closed, but a sliver of darkness peeked from the bottom, a little too deep, a little too unnatural. I swallowed hard. No, I wasn't gonna open it. That was horror movie stupidity. If something was inside, if something had really been watching from the baby monitor, I wasn't gonna wait for it to grab me. I needed to get my niece and get out. I reached for her, my fingers brushing the soft fabric of her onesie, when... click. The closet door creaked open an inch. The air in my lungs froze. I didn't move. Neither did the door. I wanted to believe it had opened on its own. Maybe the house had shifted. Maybe it hadn't been latched properly. But then, from that sliver of darkness, something moved. Not a full movement. Not a hand reaching out. Just the faintest shift, like a shadow adjusting itself. I yanked my niece into my arms. Her tiny body limp was asleep, and bolted. Down the stairs, nearly tripping over my own feet, past the living room, throwing open the front door and stepping into the cold night air. My breath came out ragged, my niece murmuring groggily against my shoulder, but I didn't stop moving until I reached my car. Fumbling with my keys, I got the door open, slid into the driver's seat, and locked it behind me. My niece stirred, rubbing her eyes, but I hushed her gently, my own hand still trembling. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I hesitated before pulling it out, dreading what I would see. One new message from my sister. I opened it. "Get out of the house now." I stared at the words, my body already outside, already safe. My fingers shook as I typed back. I have her. What did you see?" She didn't respond right away. The dots appeared, vanished, reappeared. Then finally. "Check the monitor." I didn't want to, but I did. The nursery feed came up, the familiar night vision glow, revealing the empty crib. The door I had left open was still ajar. The closet, however. The closet was wide open now. The darkness inside was thick, suffocating. And in the center of the screen, staring directly at the camera, was a face. Not fully human. Not fully anything. A stretched, unnatural grin. Hollow, gleaming eyes. And a shape that shouldn't exist. Too thin, too wrong. Like it had been pulled from the space between dreams and reality. It didn't move. It only watched. And then, The screen glitched. For a second, it went black, streaked with static, and when the image returned, the figure was gone. I sat frozen in my car, my niece warm against me, my breath coming in shaky gasps. The house loomed in front of me, dark and silent, as if nothing had ever happened inside. But I knew better. And whatever had been in there, it knew me now. The cold night air pressed against the car's windows as I sat there, gripping my niece protectively. My pulse was still racing, but my mind was sharper now, cutting through the fog of fear. I had seen it. I knew I had. My sister had seen it too. And it had seen me. My fingers hovered over my phone, about to call her, when the screen lit up. Incoming call, Emily. I answered immediately. I'm out, I have her. What the hell did you see? My sister's voice came through shaky, whisper thin. It was right behind you. I shut my eyes, swallowing the bile rising in my throat. I know, I saw it on the monitor. No, she said, her breath hitching. Not just on the monitor. A sharp chill slid down my spine. What do you mean? She hesitated. When you were in the nursery before you ran, I saw it move toward you. I saw it standing right behind you. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white. I didn't feel anything, I didn't hear anything. She exhaled shakily. I think it wanted you to turn around. A long silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. My niece whimpered in her sleep, shifting in my arms. I adjusted her, my own limbs trembling. What do we do? I whispered. Emily was quiet for a moment. We gonna go back inside. My eyes locked on the house. The front door was still wide open, exposing the dimly lit hallway. The baby monitor feed was still running on my phone, showing the empty nursery. I watched the screen. Watched. And then, the closet door slammed shut. A strangled noise caught in my throat. On the monitor, the screen flickered, glitched, then cut to black. My sister's voice wavered. We need to leave. I didn't argue. Starting the car, I backed out of the driveway, my breath uneven as I put distance between us and the house. My niece stirred, but didn't wake, oblivious to whatever had been watching us. As we pulled onto the main road, my phone buzzed again. A text from my own number. You shouldn't have left. I nearly dropped the phone. My chest tightened, my skin crawling as I showed my sister. She didn't speak. She didn't have to. We both knew what it meant. Whatever was in that house, it wasn't done with us. We didn't go home that night. Emily told me to drive straight to her place, and I didn't argue. The entire ride, my hands were tight on the wheel, my mind racing with every possible explanation, none of them comforting. My niece slept soundly in the back seat, blissfully unaware of the thing we had left behind. Or at least I hoped we had left it behind. At Emily's apartment, we locked every door, shut every curtain, and turned on every light. She made coffee, though neither of us drank it. We sat in the living room, my niece curled up on the couch between us, her tiny breath steady and peaceful. I don't think it's just the house, Emily said finally, her voice hushed. I looked at her. What do you mean? She hesitated. I've seen things before, glitches in the baby monitor, shapes that shouldn't be there. I always told myself it was bad lighting or interference, but now I don't know. A cold realization settled in my chest. You think it's attached to her? I glanced at my niece, at her soft, sleeping face. She looked so small, so fragile. Emily shook her head. I don't think so, I think it's attached to us. Silence thickened the air. The thought made my skin crawl. I pulled out my phone, staring at the last text, the one from my own number. You shouldn't have left. I checked my call log, my texts, everything. My number was the only one listed. There was no record of the message being sent. No source, no explanation. And then, my screen flickered. For a brief second, the baby monitor feed returned. The nursery was empty. The closet door was open again. The screen cut to black. I exhaled shakily and turned off my phone. We're not going back there, I said. Emily nodded. Agreed. We sat in silence, listening to the hum of the apartment, to the distant sound of cars outside. Eventually, exhaustion took over. Emily fell asleep first, then my niece. I sat awake the longest, staring at my phone. Waiting. But it didn't buzz again. For now.